WME fails. Meghan and her recent stunts remind the Sussexes of Sunshine Sachs. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the King YouTube channel. It's been a rough year, and we've seen some pretty bad moves from Meghan and Harry. Apparently, Meghan Markle is missing Sunshine Sachs. She's a narcissist, and she's a malignant narcissist at that, and that does not necessarily mean that she's evil. Instead, we can consider her to be more like a malignant tumor. She's a cancer that is not going to stop growing. Meghan and Harry are motivated by their self-delusion and their perceived status, and it's not really ego-driven. You don't have to constantly give compliments to be on their side. In fact, you just gotta worship their status. But if you dare to attack their status, then you better watch out. Back in August of 2022, all their main staff had their press reports and releases that they had been tied down to long-term contracts. And then within 4 months, all of them had left, and so did Sunshine. So what exactly happened here? Apparently, there were 8 individuals named as people who Harry followed on social media, and the book Finding Freedom goes into great detail about the hate watching and reading that Harry did for an average of 2 hours every single day. There were even reports that Harry would get so upset by what he had read online about himself that he would basically destroy the office they had been broadcasting from. There was one person who wrote about Harry interviewing a black leader, and Harry was always looking off screen on the Zoom call. And this person put his setup in the answer. This person talked about what was wrong and how they should have set up everything so that Harry could read the teleprompter. This individual called Harry an idiot and explained why they called him an idiot. Telegram is an app that some people use for social media, and it's kind of like a social media platform, but apparently it's more top secret. I don't know. I don't fully understand it. But apparently Meghan and Harry's staff were using it, and they would go onto the narcissist boards, and they would recommend them to people who work for narcissists. And on those boards, there's plenty of advice on how to handle your boss and how to manipulate them, and most importantly, how to get paid off. They recommended stuff like, for example, putting 6-month notice periods into the contracts. And then they would publicly outline that their boss does not have the reach, and so they could be paid off. Now, if you look at the stories from last October, you can see that Meghan and Harry were reported as not having the reach for this or that, and this is not a coincidence. It's also not a coincidence that all the major staff in Sunshine Sachs were paid off only a month later. Meghan and Harry think that they're so sly, so clever, so sneaky, but they're not. It's pretty easy to predict what's going to happen with them, especially when we're talking about divorce or them having financial problems. And throughout the year, that became a popular narrative. Now people understand that for years we have been saying basically the same thing. Meghan and Harry are running out of money. They've wasted it all. And also, we've learned the deals were not as reported, and this is becoming more and more clear. So let's look at their spending. They spend $7.5 million a year on PR, $8.2 million a year on security. Worth noting, though, that security is a whole package deal, and it also included car transportation anywhere in the continental US. But anyway, they also spent $8.5 million on legal fees. They've got to pay their personal staff. They've got to pay for hotels, private jets, taxis, taxes, etc. And that is all separate. The Netflix deal is still in development. They are not being paid $80 million just yet. Instead, they are paid producer fees on the projects they work on. And then the staff have got to be paid out of the development fees by Netflix. Apparently this is standard when making a deal with Netflix. When everything is added up, Meghan and Harry need to be generating more than about $45 million a year just to keep up with their lifestyle. Their own account showed in 18 months they generated only $9.8 million, excluding that book deal. I mean, this is just simple math. So that's why so many staff members left, and that's why Sunshine Sachs also dumped them, and security left as well. And they're still trying to claim they are in so much danger from all the Taliban people. Harry was out walking in a public event on the 4th of July in the US. I don't see how he could be so scared for his life if he's doing something like that. Apparently now they have security people that are on demand, so they just pay for the day when they need them. And this security costs about $1,800 a day. So why did Harry sue for the chance to pay for UK security? It is what the head of the security firm said, and it's the ability to stop traffic. Essentially, Harry wants taxpayer-funded security because it is the ultimate status symbol. That is something that those big celebrities in Hollywood cannot buy. Let's remember, these are the same people who decided to fly across LA instead of sit in traffic. And it's why Meghan insists on using private jets all the time. Apparently, she refuses to even fly first class. Although now, because they're running out of money, Harry basically has no choice but to travel first class. Now, people may mistake luxury for privilege. It's an easy mistake to make. Just imagine, though, if you get to travel around in private jets and a whole motorcade, you're always going to be where you want to be when you want to be there. You don't have to worry about other people getting in your way. And I think that's something that was addictive to Meghan Markle. And many people have misunderstood exactly how much money Harry and Meghan have because of the Netflix deal and Spotify and the speeches, the bribes. I mean, Harry's speeches were so bad that even Trevor Noah made fun of them. In the beginning, Harry was offered a lot of money for his public speaking engagements, but then he got up there and didn't make a bit of sense. So of course, nobody's going to want to give him more money to make more public speeches. Now, Obama makes $1 million per speech, and Harry maybe could make half, but probably not even that at this point. And Obama did a lot of sketchy stuff when he was in office. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true. The Pentagon can account for approximately a third of its money. And, Obama pushed through the F-35, which is the most expensive military program ever. It's a lot more than the UK has spent on their military in their entire history. Interestingly enough, under Obama, the Democrats ended up flipping the contributions, and they got more than the Republicans from the military-industrial complex. But of course, it's just a coincidence that now the Democrats all of a sudden are pro-war, and the Republicans are wanting more money. And I know it seems like I'm going off on a tangent here, but trust me, it is all related. So now we're in the world of US political corruption, which Meghan, of course, is trying to get into. And we have to wonder, why exactly do so many politicians head to Canada? Canada is a lovely country, that's for sure. But let's think about Huawei. Over 80% of the trader cases this century. It's not what is in Canada. Instead, it's what isn't in Canada. And what isn't in Canada would be the FBI and US courts. So why do so many politicians go there? Well, it's for the same reason that traders who sell US secrets want to go there. There's no surveillance, there is no wiretapping. So if a politician needs to communicate with some sketchy donors like PACs or foreign donors or whatever, well, Canada is the perfect place to go. They'll often say they got to go there to look into a small medical procedure, but then they end up not getting it. Meghan has gone to Canada a lot. Interestingly enough, there's also a big Russian connection. The home they bought in California, the home they stayed in when they were in Canada, the apartments they stay in when they're in New York. Is it any coincidence that Meghan headed to Canada and all of a sudden Biden's sister said that Meghan would be a great vice president? And there were also those weird polls done claiming that Meghan is more popular than Kamala Harris or Hillary as vice president. I know it sounds crazy, but apparently it really is true. There was a poll put to the same group of Democrats, and they found out that it's true. Meghan Markle scored 47%, Hillary was 41%, and Kamala Harris only 6%. So then a follow-up poll was conducted, and they had made up a candidate. Her name was Kathy Richardson. They said that she was a self-made millionaire in the area of recruitment who pays for a few women's shelters. And the result was not really all that surprising. Kathy Richardson scored 61%, Hillary 28%, Meghan 7%, and Kamala 4%. People who refused to vote were 1%. It was only 478 people, but what was fascinating is that it was a zero-sum game, and it seems like people would want to vote for literally anybody else. So this is where things get very interesting, and this is why Meghan is really missing sunshine lately. The announcement from her was that she signed a new PR deal. Now, usually it would be a talent agency that was hired as PR first. WME, of course, is part of a bigger group. They are not a standalone entity. And even though we keep hearing about how they're these super agents, in fact, they're not very good at all. They're a perfect example of how not to do business. So the divorce and the ultimate victim strategy was all figured out. The PAC has been raising money, and the party apparatus has been trying to protect her. And so that can help explain why it was the right-wing groups going after Harry's visa instead of any liberals. And this is also why Donald Trump even said that he would want to debate Meghan, and it's why Meghan hasn't gone to a single one of Harry's events. Now, Harry apparently really does often sleep all by himself in a hotel. So apparently they really are separated, and that's why Meghan has been seen out and about without even wearing the engagement ring. Because I guess this is the perfect victim backstory to support Meghan in her bid for vice president. Apparently she's just going to be a running mate, and we don't know if it's going to be with Biden or Hillary or whoever. And of course, it's WME who is responsible for all these photos and articles on Meghan's blackness, and they were the ones who pushed her to get connected with Kim Kardashian. And right now, folks, apparently the most despised celebrity out there, aside from Russell Brand, is Kim Kardashian. So apparently WME has come up with a strategy to try to promote Meghan Markle as just an ordinary mom, and that's why she's been out and about getting papped in parking lots and going through drive-through restaurants and places like that. But WME, like we said, is not a very good agency, and this is why their little strategy didn't work. Her numbers actually ended up going down. The poll showed her not winning between her and Hillary and Kamala. So what in the world are they going to do? I mean, Meghan is seen as being completely out of touch. She's not supportive, she's not liked. So in only 3 weeks, she went from top to single digits, which is why all of a sudden Meghan Markle did want to join Harry at Invictus for the first time this year. And it did seem to be effective because at least for a little while her numbers seemed to go up. So they figured they were back in the game, and that's why they headed to Kevin Costner's charity and got the VIP room. They thought they were going to be able to take photos with Oprah and other bigwigs, but of course it didn't happen. Instead, they just got to take photos with Oprah and Ellen, and they got to rub elbows with some Hollywood royalty. The tables at that event were $12,000, and a VIP table was $200,000. Honestly, friends, if they were not such horrible people, I would almost feel sorry for them because it looks like they have been taken for a ride again. Now, Kevin is the darling of the right with Yellowstone. He is the perfect person to be associated with. I guess it's a real shame for them that he ignored them. And of course, that agency was responsible for writing and releasing the piece, which is why it's the same across so many different publications. It is what they're paid for, but I'm curious about whether they're being paid by Kamala's PAC. I mean, it really is a difficult year. After all the backlash against celebrities bragging about how rich they are, Meghan Markle and her advisors are putting out a bunch of BS, like she's going to make $1 million per post on Instagram. I mean, whatever. How does she think that's going to make her seem more relatable to people? Of course it's not. And their podcast series and Netflix shows have all failed, proving that they do not really have a bunch of fans. People are hate watching anything they're in. That's the only numbers they get. And that's why the docuseries that was made by Netflix featuring the two of them did all right, although it really didn't do very well. And it looks like they're trying to use poor Thomas Markle yet again, and he's probably too dumb to realize it. Some people are predicting that within the next month or so, we're going to hear about the divorce, because that way they can tie it in with the political situation. And it seems like it's about finished. Kathy for VP. So now Meghan switched gears and she's going to pretend to be the loving wife again. I mean, for now it seems like it might be delayed. And then if Thomas gets to see his family again, well, it's because Meghan is trying again. And of course, she hates her life right now. She's been abandoned by everybody. Meghan doesn't have anybody who really supports her. She just has an agency releasing a bunch of BS. But we can't say that she doesn't deserve it. Back to the political situation, though. If Hillary ends up running for president instead of Biden, well, apparently we can expect that Meghan and Harry are going to get divorced, and Meghan's going to claim that they're stealing her babies, and they're going to be on an all-female ticket, because apparently right now that is what they're testing. Now, of course, you guys, none of this is confirmed. I just want to share with you the latest news that I have come across. Whether you believe it or not, you cannot deny it's some pretty interesting stuff. And you, what do you think about Meghan Markle? Please let me know your opinion below in the comments. Don't be afraid to like and share this video with your friends and relatives who would enjoy it too. Please don't forget to subscribe to our The King YouTube channel to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a lovely evening, and we'll be back to see you tomorrow. Bye. I love you all.